I want to get you into, tell us a bit more about what you found. What were the major findings of the book? If you can give us some major examples from some of the chapters that you wrote, that would be very interesting.
Okay, so the book is got 7 chapters, and if you look at the 7 chapters, I have got I categorize them into different, like we've got the introduction, we've got the contextual, where I contextualize student activism in South African higher education, and then I move on to a human development and capability approach to justice in higher education and student activism. So the first empirical chapter, which I present in the book, is rethinking student activism from a student governance perspective, right? And in this chapter, the main argument that I put across, drawing from the SRC voices, is that when these SRC members, when these students, student representative council members engage in leadership activism, they have got their main concerns are to do with transformational change and justice within the university space, right? And the main argument, from their perspective, is that, as I mentioned earlier, that when I was doing the research, I was mainly focusing on social media. So their main argument was social media plays a huge role in mobilizing students in advancing activism activities, right? But then on its own, it is not enough. And then face-to-face mobilization remains crucial for them. It remains crucial. That is one of the key arguments that I put across in this chapter. And then when you look at their concerns, or why the motivation behind, them joining SRC leadership activism, is issues of justice, issues of transformational change within the university space. For instance, one of the SRC members that I interviewed, she spoke of, how she struggled to register when she enrolled at the university. Issues of, financial exclusion. Those are some of the issues that the students mentioned. But when you look at, each and every year we struggle to register. Each and every year we struggle, to communicate with the university for us to be able to register. And then if we are struggling, it means our access to higher education is actually, we can't talk of access to higher education. So those are some of the things that these students raise, and those are some of the things that motivated them to engage in activism. And then you look at the kind of experiences, what they, the kind of treatment, or how they are treated by the university, especially when we engage in these activism activities. From the SRC, especially the SRC, they mentioned that we might, we would try to set up meetings with the university, but then in most cases, the university will not be willing to engage us, will not be willing to sit down and have conversations or dialogues with us. And then the last resort, or the only option that we have, is to engage in activism. But we are elected student representatives, but we are still struggling to set up meetings, to have dialogues with the university management.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things, they actually motivated them, they push them to engage in activism as a way for them to be able to communicate with the university, or to express their frustrations, or to express their experiences. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the issue, one of the issues that was raised by the SRC is how the university normally treats students. Mm-hmm. The kind of unfair treatment that students are subjected to. The issue of the presence of private security company, the issue of the government, police itself,
mm-hmm.
beatings. They are beaten, and if you look at the book, there is an image that is in the book of a female student who was pushed against the wall, and she was saying, yes, if you look at the image, she was saying, if you look at it, the battalion, the private security personnel was actually, violating me. That is a violation. So those are the kinds of feedback, or the kind of unfair treatment that these students experience when they try as much as possible to engage in conversations, or to initiate for them to speak, share their experiences, especially with the university management. And given that these are students who have been elected by the students' body, or by the students to represent them, but they are still struggling for them to communicate with the university management. So that is it from a student, representative perspective. And then I also interviewed what I would refer to as, I also interviewed activist organizers
Okay.
who, yes, activist organizers, these are people or these are students who are responsible for organizing, activism activities from a grassroots, from the grassroots. They are not aligned to the SRC. They are just students who organize activism activities on behalf of the students. And, their main argument was social media is important as a platform to express or for us to gain our voice. We use it to communicate our experience, to share our experiences. So for them, social media is actually important in certain circumstances. And then in other circumstances, they said, no, we really need face-to-face activism for us to have the kind of, change that we need. We really need to have face-to-face activism.